So we will listen to the Murli of the 27th of November, 1987. 27th of November, 1987. And the essence of the Murli is only those who have unlimited disinterest are true Raj Rishis. Only those who have unlimited disinterest are true Raj Rishis. These are two Hindi words, Raj and Rishi. So Raj means king, right? Sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
And Rishi is someone who is a saint, a hermit. Got
Mm-hmm.
it? So
Okay.
in a way, these two are contradictory to each other. How can you be a king and yet be a hermit? Hermit would be one who would be going into the jungle, staying there, living a life of austerity. Yeah, and then the king would be living in the palaces with all the wealth, prosperity, and what have you. So Baba wants us to bring both these aspects together, becoming a Raj and also becoming a Rishi. That is, you see, the important thing to understand in this paradox is that we can become sovereigns or we can become kings only when we live a life of certain degree of austerity. Yeah. And on the other hand, also, that unless we develop the ability to sustain ourselves, to rule over ourselves, that self-sovereignty aspect that Baba talks about every day in the Murlis, we cannot really become rishis either. And rishis are the ones who would be respected by everyone because of their wisdom and what have you. But you can't really acquire wisdom till you practice self sovereignty. So both of these two go hand in hand, Raj and Rishi. So today, Bap Dada is seeing the court of all the Raj Rishis. Throughout the whole cycle, a court of kings takes place many times, but this court of Raj Rishis only takes place at this confluence age. You are kings and also rishis. This speciality of the court of this time is remembered. On the one hand, you have the kingdom, that is, you have a right to all attainments, and on the other hand, you are rishis, that is, you are those who have an attitude of unlimited disinterest. So you understand? On one hand, you have the kingdom, that is, you have a right to all attainments. So first is this inner kingdom of ours to be able to rule over ourselves. But also, as soon as we do that, we get the inheritance of the golden age, where we'll be world sovereigns. So we have a right to world sovereignty as soon as we practice self sovereignty. But at the same time, Baba is saying you're rishis, that is, you're those who have an attitude of unlimited disinterest. Right, so let's take a moment to see ourselves as both of these. Yeah, self sovereigns are kings, but also rishis. So, on one hand, we have a right to all attainments, and on the other hand, we have an attitude of unlimited disinterest. Yeah, let's continue. On the one hand, you have the intoxication of having a right to all attainments. So, Baba is repeating himself. And on the other hand, you have the alokic intoxication of having unlimited disinterest. So, alokic intoxication, what does that mean? See, lokic versus alokic, these are two words Baba uses in the Murlis very frequently. Lokic is the worldly, and alokic is out of the world kind of experience. So in the world, people have a lot of intoxication. On one hand, they could get intoxicated with, drugs and alcohol and other things, but also intoxication because of their ego. Yeah, intoxication because of all their physical attainments, which creates the ego. Yeah, I have cars and houses and I have so much of wealth and I'm so and so at work and other things. So that is lokic intoxication. I'm rich or I'm strong and I have so many followers, I have so many friends, things like that. But a lokic intoxication is intoxication because of who you truly are. Yes. And because of practicing the very truth that governs all of life. Yeah. The highest understanding of human existence. Yeah. When we also understand it, you see, we have that understanding, but more than understanding, we have accepted it and we are following that life. So then the intoxication that comes from that, yeah, that is called as alokik intoxication of having unlimited disinterest. Yeah. So to the extent you have elevated fortune, you have elevated renunciation. Now, uh, now, which comes first, elevated fortune or elevated renunciation? You see, the more we get, the more we are willing to renounce. But only when we renounce, then we get. You understand this paradox? Let's say you're trying to buy new furniture. Only when you get rid of the old furniture, new furniture can actually come inside the house. However, you can't really get rid of the old furniture till you have the surety, the guarantee that new furniture is on its way. So, yeah, the elevated fortune helps us have elevated renunciation and vice versa. So, there is a balance of the two. This is known as being a Raj Rishi. Yeah, this is what I enjoy about these Murlis, Sakar and Avyakt Murlis. Yeah, everything goes hand in hand. Nothing is mutually exclusive of the other. Yeah, so see Raj and Rishi. Baba was seeing the balance of such Raj Rishi children. One moment you have the intoxication of being one with that right, and the next you have the intoxication of having an attitude of disinterest. Yeah, so on one hand, we have everything, and on the other hand, we have nothing. Mhm. To what extent are you able to remain stable in this practice? And what is this practice? Of being a Raj Rishi, to be able to maintain a balance being between the intoxication of having the right and at the same time having the intoxication of having an attitude of unlimited disinterest. That is, to what extent do you practice both stages equally? Baba was checking this. All the children are number wise in their practice anyway. However, according to the time, you must continue to increase even more the practice of both these stages as much as you possibly can. What does it really mean to have an attitude of unlimited disinterest? Disinterest doesn't mean to step away, but that while having all attainments, no limited attractions attract your mind or intellect. Unlimited means to be a complete and perfect soul in an unlimited way, equal to the Father, to be the sovereign over all your senses and also have a right over the subtle powers of your mind, intellect, and sanskaras. See what Baba is saying, that on one hand, we have to have unlimited disinterest, which means that no limited attractions should attract our minds and intellects, but also we have to be self sovereigns, that is, complete control over our senses, the physical senses, the five sense organs, but also over the subtle powers, that is, the mind, intellect, and sanskaras. Yeah. So, unlimited means to be complete and perfect soul in an unlimited way, equal to the Father, to be a sovereign over all your senses, and also to have a right over the subtle powers of your mind, intellect, and sanskaras. Let there not be any dependency, even in your thoughts. This is what is said to be a Rajrishi, that is, one with an attitude of unlimited disinterest, one who easily and constantly stays far away from all attractions, far away from the attractions of old bodies, the old world of bodies, from any grossness, and from any physical possessions. Total disinterest. Neither do I want any old body, old world filled with all the physical possessions and people and statuses. Nothing should attract us. So, just as the power of science is able to take you beyond the pull of the Earth's gravity, just as the power of science is able to take you beyond the pull of the Earth's gravity, in the same way, the power of silence takes you far away beyond these limited attractions. So let's see ourselves using the power of silence to rise beyond, to transcend these limited attractions. Yeah. Let's see ourselves rising up like a rocket, going higher and higher. And all these limited attractions are below us, quite far below. People say that these astronauts, when they go into outer space, after they have gone beyond the Earth's gravity, that state of weightlessness feels awesome. And so, if we too are free from the pull, the gravity of these limited attractions, then how beautiful that would feel. At this time, we haven't gone beyond, but at least in our minds, we can have that experience. This is known as the complete and perfect stage that is equal to that of the Father. So, have you practiced such a stage? The physical organs are very gross, and it is still easy to become a conqueror of your physical organs. However, to become victorious over the subtle powers of your mind, intellect, and sanskaras requires subtle practice. Yeah, our mind plays games with us, right? All the time. Our intellect wants to do its own thing most of the times. Yeah. So, see, Baba is telling us that we have to become victorious over even these subtle powers. To be able to make any thought or sanskar emerge at the time you want it to is known as being victorious over the subtle powers. That is, it is the stage of a Raj Rishi. Yeah, see what is Baba saying? To be able to make any thought or sanskara emerge at the time you want it to is known as being victorious over the subtle powers. That is, it is the stage of a Raj Rishi. Yeah, so the other way around is also important, to make sure that no thought or sanskara that you don't want to emerge, that shouldn't emerge. To be able to stop them from emerging, stop them from manifesting as a change in your action or in your behavior. Yeah. So what should happen, and what shouldn't happen. Right? So just as you order your physical organs to do this and not to do that, put your hand down, raise your hand, and so it goes up. In the same way, let your thoughts and scars and the power to decide, which means the intellect, work according to your orders. When the soul, that is the king, orders the mind, that is the power of thought, to become stable and concentrated instantly, to become stable in just the one thought, then when the order of the king is obeyed in that way at that moment, that is the sign of one who has a right to the kingdom. What is Baba saying? That when the order of the king is obeyed in that way, and I want my mind to be stable, and concentrated now in this thought. That's when, the king can be called as a king, that his orders are being obeyed. So such a king would be the one who would be called as, that this person has, or this king has a right to the kingdom. Let it not be that your mind obeys the order after practicing it for 3 to 4 minutes. Or instead of becoming stable and concentrated, it first of all goes into upheaval and then becomes stable. What would you call that? Would you say that it's someone who has a right? So check in this way, because you have already been told in advance that at the time of the final result, at the final time, there'll be just one question of just 1 second. If you don't have the practice of having a right over these subtle powers now, that is, if your mind obeys the orders of you, the king, after 3 seconds instead of just 1 second, would you be called one who has a right to the kingdom? Here, Papa is not even giving us the margin of 3 seconds. It has to happen instantly. Or would you pass the final paper of just a second? How many marks would you get? In the same way, have a right over your intellect, that is over your deciding power. So in the earlier paragraph, Baba talked about the mind, but now Baba is talking about the intellect, that is our deciding power. So to be able to make a decision when the situation happens according to the situation at that moment is known as having a right over your intellect. See, people in the world are scared of making decisions. It is quite painful for them. They would rather just follow orders than to have to make decisions for themselves. Because if they make decisions on their own, then they can't blame anyone else for their decision, right? So it's scarier to make your own decisions. Yeah, in the world out there, you see, there's people will go around asking others for advices, and so many people have their own agendas when they share their opinions. It's not that it is coming from that pure state of service and love and compassion. People manipulate each other so much in the world out there. So it's important that we develop that kind of decision making power. There's this joke or story of one time there was a farmer who was a very kind person. So he was going somewhere and maybe tilling the land, and he found a magic lamp. And as he rubbed that lamp, a genie showed up. And he said, I'll do anything that you tell me to do, and I do it in an instant. But if you don't give me any work to do, then I'm going to eat you up. So the farmer thinks for a moment and says, all right, why don't you go and create a fence for my entire farm? Make sure that the fence is strong enough, that no wild animals can come in, and so on and so forth. So he gave all these specifications. And so in an instant, the genie got to work, and within no time, the fence was created. And then I can't remember the entire story, but there were multiple things that the farmer told the genie to do, and genie would get to work right away and very quickly be able to finish all the tasks. And so now this farmer was confused. He said, "What else do I give to this genie?" So the because the farmer was scared, if he doesn't give any work to the genie will eat him up. So then the farmer had an idea. He said, the harvest has come in, and these are the potatoes. So what you have to do is to sort them in a way that the ones which are rotten, whatever, don't have the right shape, versus the ones which are good, there's no rotting in them, and they're looking good as well. So the genie thinks for a moment and says, all right, I'll do that task. And as he goes there, this time he doesn't come back very quickly. He takes days and weeks. And so the farmer's like, what's going on? And so he goes there to check on the genie, and the genie is all confused and literally crying. And so he asks, what happened? The genie says, Oh, this is too big a task for me to do because it requires decision making. I can't decide. Every moment with every potato, I have to make a decision whether to put it in this basket or that basket. And I can't handle it anymore. So now I'm going away. So it's just a funny story, a joke that making decisions is not an easy task. Yeah, for most people in the world, even for the genie in the story, it wasn't easy. Yes, but we Baba's children, because we have a very powerful intellect now because of our connection with Baba, because of listening to Baba's Murli every day, that we have this tremendous deciding power. Yeah, so Baba is saying, let it not be that when that situation or that moment has passed, you then decide that that shouldn't have happened, that it would have been much better if you had decided that earlier. Another thing, not making a decision is also making a decision. You see, when you postpone a decision, right, sometimes you need to be able to gather more information. Yeah, you might need to postpone it. One is procrastination. For no reason, you're you're pushing it for a later time because you don't have the ability to decide. Yeah, but sometimes we do postpone. But even if we procrastinate or postpone meaningfully, it's still a decision that we have made. So we are making a decision every moment, anyways. But are we making the right decision versus we are just making it out of our own habit? Yeah. So let it not be that that situation or that moment has passed. You then decide that that shouldn't have happened, that it would have been much better if you had decided that earlier. So to be able to make the right decision at the time is a sign of a soul who has a right to the kingdom. So throughout the day, check to what extent you had a right to the kingdom. That is, to what extent you were making your subtle powers work under your orders. Every day, hold a court of your workers. Check whether the workers, the physical organs, and the subtle powers were under your control or not. The sanskars of being a sovereign at this time will enable you to have a right to the kingdom for many births. Yes, self sovereignty will lead to world sovereignty for a long time. Do you understand? In the same way, do your sanskars sometimes deceive you? Your eternal sanskars are pure and elevated sanskars. The original sanskaras are to be an embodiment of virtues. You see the difference between original and eternal? Yeah, they seem like same thing, right? But everybody understands the difference between original and eternal sanskaras. So the original sanskaras are when we start our existence in the cycle from the golden age onwards. What were we in the golden age? How did we live our lives in the golden age? Versus the eternal sanskaras are the ones which are the sanskaras of the soul. That is, when we were in the supreme abode, even in that dormant state, we were in those seven qualities. We were true peace, true happiness, true love, true wisdom, all those seven qualities. Okay. So the original sanskaras are to be an embodiment of all virtues, to be a deity soul who has a right to the kingdom, to be an embodiment of all attainments. These are the natural sanskaras you need in order to become complete and perfect. So, to be a sovereign over the power of your sanskaras means that your original and eternal sanskaras are always emerged. Do not let the sanskaras of the middle period, that is, the sanskaras that came in from the copper age onwards, pull you towards themselves. Yeah, Baba oftentimes says that those sanskaras are Ravan sanskaras. They are foreign to us. They're alien to us. They are not our sanskaras. So do not be compelled by your sanskars. You speak of your old sanskars. In fact, your old sanskars are your original and eternal sanskars. Yeah, we oftentimes say that old habits die hard. Yeah, but our oldest habits are the purest habits. So if we really want to stay stuck in the old habits, why not go all the way to the back to the beginning of the golden age when we had the best habits, the best sanskaras? Yeah, so the others are of the middle period, the sanskaras that came in the copper age. So are your old sanskaras of the beginning or of the middle period? If any sanskara of limited attraction pulls you, would you be said to have a right over your sanskaras? If within your kingdom even one power of one worker, one of the physical organs does not work under your orders, would you be said to have full rights over your kingdom? All of you children issue the challenge that you are the ones who will establish the one kingdom, one language, one religion, and one direction. All of you Brahma Kumars and Kumaris issue this challenge that there'll be one kingdom where there'll be one language, one religion, and one direction. So, when will that be established? Will it be established in the future? Who are the instruments for establishment? Who are the instruments for establishment? Is it Brahma or Vishnu? Establishment takes place through Brahma, does it not? Where there is Brahma, the Brahmins are with him too. When will establishment through Brahma, that is through the Brahmins, take place? Where there's Brahma, the Brahmins are with him too. So, along with Brahma, that is Brahma Baba, we are master Brahmas. So, we are going to help in the creation of the new world along with Brahma Baba. At the conference age, so Baba is saying, when will that happen? At the conference age or in the golden age? There will be sustenance, establishment through Brahma, and the Brahmins has to take place now. So, first of all, look in your own kingdom and see whether there is the one kingdom, one dharna, that is one dharma, and one direction. If even one of your physical organs is under a different direction of Maya's, it would not be said to be one kingdom or one direction. So, first of all, check whether you have established the one kingdom in terms of your own kingdom and your own dharma, or whether Maya sometimes sits on the throne and sometimes you sit on it. Yeah. Do we have to share the throne with Maya? Sometimes we say, sometimes Maya says. Check whether you have put the challenge into a practical form. You wish to have the eternal sanskaras, but instead of those, the sanskaras of the middle period emerge. In that case, that is not having a right, is it? So, what was the title that we started off with? What was the main essence of the Murli? Anyone remembers what was that title? The combination of what two things? A king and an ascetic. So a Raj Rishi means one who has a right over the kingdom of the self. You will constantly and easily have a right to the kingdom when you are a Rishi. You remember this is what we talked about in the beginning? Baba has now spoken at this point in the Murli that you will constantly and easily have a right to the kingdom when you are a Rishi. That is when you have the practice of an attitude of unlimited disinterest. Disinterest means that there is no attachment and that your love for the Father is constant. This loving nature enables you to become detached. To love the Father and to be detached before you start to act is called as being an unlimited renunciate. Yeah, so loving and detached. Again, the paradox. Yeah, how can you be loving and yet be detached? In fact, you cannot be loving unless you're detached, and you can't be detached unless you're loving. Yeah, so Baba is saying that when we fall in love with Baba, when we develop that true love for Baba, that detachment from the physical world of chaos and other complications becomes very easy. So it is very easy, therefore, to become an unlimited renunciate. Yeah. You know, earlier I used to emphasize more on detachment. The more I'm detached, the more I can be loving. But what I realized that actually, you know, one has to work more. In fact, one has to work on both, really. It's a two-pronged approach for everything. But what I'm realizing recently is that unless I become loving, I really cannot be detached. Because unless I am flowing with love, I wouldn't be able to clear away my karmic accounts. And then I can't really be detached. So unless I am truly loving, I cannot become detached. So in the past couple of years, I've been working more on being more loving rather than being more detached. But yes, we have to work on both love and detachment. So if you do not love the Father, you cannot even become detached. There will be attachment. Those who love the Father cannot love anyone else or any material things. They would always be beyond that attraction, that is, they would always be detached. This is called the stage of being immune, the stage where there is no trace of any limited attraction that affects you. You make use of the creation and facilities while remaining immune. Yes, because in a way, you understand that everything is going to be over. Yeah, everything is going to finish. Yeah, everything has an expiration date. Yeah, there's this very famous Latin phrase, memento mori, right? That we are going to die, everything is going to end. So, in the world, people might end up creating a lot of pessimism within themselves because of this. But what it means is that, in fact, the more you know of ephemeral existence of everything around you, yeah, the temporariness of everything around you, the more actually you're able to enjoy everything. Yeah, because there's no attachment, then you're able to actually experience that thing or those things to the fullest. Yeah, so you understand the paradox. Yeah, the more you understand that everything is temporary, the more you're able to enjoy everything around you. So you make use of the creation and facilities whilst remaining immune. Have you become those who have such unlimited disinterest, such true Raj Rishis? Don't think that there are just one or two weaknesses remaining now, that just one subtle power or physical organ is not sufficiently under control, but that all the rest are fine. For where there is even one weakness, that is the gate for Maya to enter, whether it is a small gate or a big gate, it is a gate. If the gate is open, how would you become a conqueror of Maya and a conqueror of the world? So we can't let even the tiniest gate to remain open from which Maya can enter into us. So on the one side, you're invoking the beautiful golden world of one kingdom and one religion, but as well as that, you're also invoking weaknesses, that is Maya. Therefore, what would the result be? You would be in a state of confusion. So do not consider this to be a small thing, thinking there is still some time left. I'll be able to do it later. There's still so many weaknesses in others, but there is just this one thing in me. While looking at others, make sure you yourself don't get left behind. Yeah, sometimes we give ourselves solace that, yeah, I have five weaknesses, but others have more. Yeah, they too have weaknesses. Or those people have been with Baba for so many more years than me, can still have weaknesses. So I'm better off than them. Yeah, that too is Maya, actually. Yeah, so while looking at others, make sure you yourself don't get left behind. It is said, see Father Brahma. It is said, follow the Father. Definitely be loving and cooperative with everyone. Definitely become one who picks up virtues, but follow the Father. You saw the last stage of Father Brahma, the stage of Raj Rishi, being so loving to the children. Seeing them in front of him, you saw that detachment. You saw the stage of unlimited disinterest in a practical way. Whilst going through the suffering of karma, he had a right over his physical organs. That is, he became a Raj Rishi and gave the experience of the perfect stage. Yeah. One is our attraction to the physical things of the world, say parties and relatives and friends and, so many other things, clothes, shoes, jewelry, things like these can attract us too. But the other is also the pain and suffering of the body. Let's say body is going through a lot of medical issues, There's a lot of pain. At that time, are we able to free ourselves from that suffering, of that pain, or do we suffer? Yeah. So, do we have unlimited disinterest to that extent? The more we are attached to the body, the more will be the suffering. Yeah. So, pain is one thing, but suffering comes from attachment. What is happening to my body? Oh, my body needs a surgery. Oh, they're going to cut open the body, or this is going to happen, or my hair are becoming white or gray, or my teeth are falling off, or other things. So those kind of things also see. Father Brahma went through a lot of different challenges. So he lived till the age of 93, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure he went through lots of different medical issues. He was diabetic and eventually he had a heart attack, right? That was the reason for him to leave his physical body. So he went through a lot of physical challenges, but yet he was able to transcend the suffering of those physical challenges. So he became a Raj Rishi, and this is why you're able to follow the Father. So always check your sovereignty and check your workers in the kingdom to see that no worker in the kingdom is deceiving you. Do you understand? Acha. But today you have all come from many places and arrived at the one place. This is called the Mela. Yeah, what does Mela mean? Yeah, everybody understands what's the meaning of a Mela. Mela is more of a fair, but it also is a place where people meet. There are so many Bollywood, Hollywood movies where, the boy and the girl would meet in a fair. Yeah. So that meeting. So here it is the meeting of the soul with God, the Supreme. So the rivers meet with the ocean. So this is called the meeting of the ocean with the rivers. In a Mela, you meet one another and you also receive lots of treasures. This is why you have all come to this Mela. This is the last group of new children of the season. The older ones have also received a chance with the new ones. Nature too is still cooperating with love. However, do not take advantage of it. Otherwise, nature is also clever. Acha. And then the salutations to the children from everywhere who are always what? Raj Rishis. To the children who rule themselves. To the children who have a right to the kingdom. Yes, to the children from everywhere who are always Raj Rishis. To the children who rule themselves. To the children who have a right to the kingdom and who are constantly victorious. And run the kingdom obstacle free. This is a big thing. Yeah. Is our kingdom obstacle free? To all the Rishi Kumars and Kumaris who always have an attitude of unlimited disinterest, to those who are always loving to the Father and who remain detached while performing actions, to such loving and detached children, to the faithful children who always follow Father Brahma, Bab Dada's love, remembrance, and namaste. So we'll become Raj Rishis. See, the more we are attached to Baba, yes, so if there's more love to Baba, the more we will be attached to Baba. So then we won't have any expectations from others. So we will be able to give them more freely. You understand? Right now, there is a limit to what we give to others because somewhere deep inside there is a little bit of fear, a little bit of insecurity. Will I get anything in return from the soul? You understand? Yeah. Do you also have that thought? Somewhere I analyze myself, somewhere deep inside, there are insecurities which don't allow us to give as freely as we need to. But if everything that we need is from God, then think of how freely we'll be able to serve others. You know? All right. So, do you experience yourselves to be souls who have been victorious countless times? Do you find it difficult or easy to be victorious? Whatever you find easy, you can do all the time. Whatever you find difficult, you cannot do all the time. Whatever task you have performed countless times automatically becomes easy. When you carry out a new task, you find it difficult at first, but once you have done it, that same difficult task then becomes easy. So all of you are not victorious just this once, but you have been victorious countless times. To be one who is victorious countless times means to be one who always experiences victory easily. Those who are easily victorious experience at every step that all of these tasks are already accomplished, that at every step, victory is already guaranteed. Yeah, the faith that there will be victory helps us attract victory in our lives. Yes. So there cannot even be a thought of whether it will happen or not. When you have the faith that you have been victorious countless times, there's no question as to whether it will happen or not. The sign of faith is intoxication, and the sign of intoxication is happiness. Those who have intoxication will always be happy. Another thing that one has to understand, that when we are happy, then we will have intoxication. You see, it's not just when we have intoxication, we'll be happy. Happiness breeds intoxication and vice versa. All right. So far, so good. Right. But also think of it. Let's say you have victory. Right. So victory helps us or helps you have happiness. Right. You feel happy. Oh, I was able to achieve that. I was able to accomplish that. So the other way around will also work if you understand the dynamics of this. I'll give you another example in physics. Let's say you have a fan, let's say one of those standing fans, right? You remember back in India, we had those standing fans. The blades of the fan would move when you would turn it on. The blades would move, but as they would move, they would blow the air, right? So you would feel the air on your face. But you understand the other way around also happens, that if there is wind, if you put it outside and there's a lot of wind, it's a windy day, for example, then that wind will make the fan blades rotate. You understand? So rotating of the fan blades causes air to be blown. But if air is blown at the blades, at the fan, the blades rotate, right? Agreed? So similarly, just like victory will give us happiness, but on the other hand, if we are happy, then that will bring victory in our lives. It will help us become victorious. Yeah, you understand now. Yeah, think about it for a moment. Are you all with me? Trying to be victorious can be tough, right? See, the ultimate goal for the soul is to become happy. So the more victorious we are, the happier we will feel. Now, as we are trying to be victorious, there could be so many situations, so many challenges that could come, and we could falter, we could fail. And so, if we are not victorious all the time, then we won't be able to experience happiness all the time. But on the other hand, if you simply work on your happiness, I'm just going to be happy. Don't you think this is an easier route? Don't you think it is a cheat way to get there? See, Baba doesn't want us to labor at all. He's giving us all these cheat ways of getting there, the shortcut methods. Yeah, these are not really detours. These are actually shortcuts. Those could be detours when you're trying to be victorious. What do I do? How do I make myself victorious? Here you just have to be happy. Does it cost to be happy? Today in the morning we talked about smiling, right? How many of you were smiling all day? Not smiling like foolish smile, like with your teeth, not like that, but really having that intoxicated smile, that spiritual intoxication in your heart that shines through your face. and you are automatically just smiling all the time. Yeah. So, yeah, so think about these things. Whenever anyone gains victory in anything, there are so many bands and so much music is played. Yeah. Again, think of it this way. So, when there is victory, then there will be bands and music played. Now, instead of that, why don't we turn this around and let bands and music be played inside our heads, in our hearts, and automatically success will come to us. See, isn't this an easier way? Yeah, you like music, you like bands. Think of that happening right now. Doom, 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 doom. Yeah, maybe those African drums. How beautiful that would be. Yeah, and see success coming to you, victory coming to you. Yeah, so those who have faith and intoxication would always definitely be happy. They would always be dancing in happiness. Anyone can dance physically, but to dance in the mind, even those who are ill in bed can dance in this way. No matter who it is easy for everyone to dance. Because to be victorious means for the bands of happiness to play automatically. When a band is playing, you automatically begin to tap your feet. Even those who don't know how to dance will be sitting and dancing. Their feet and shoulders will be moving. So all of you have been victorious countless times. Always continue to move forward in this happiness. Everyone in the world needs happiness. Even when they have all attainments, they don't have the attainment of happiness. Therefore, constantly continue to distribute the imperishable happiness which people in the world want. So, while considering yourself to be fortunate, do you experience your elevated fortune at every step? Because at this time, the Father has become the bestower of fortune and has come to give you your fortune. Yes, so we should be experiencing fortune at every step. The bestower of fortune is distributing fortune. At the time of distribution, everyone can take as much as they want. Everyone has a right. You can all take as much as you want. So, at such a time, check how much fortune you have made, because if not now, then never. This is why the Father has given all the children the pen with which to draw this line of fortune at every step. Yeah, what is Baba saying? That this is why the Father has given all the children the pen with which to draw this line of fortune at every step. You have the pen in your hand and you have full permission to draw the line as long as you want. It is such a wonderful chance. So you're constantly aware of the importance of this fortunate time and you accumulate as much accordingly, do you not? It isn't that you wanted to do a lot but were unable to do so, that you wanted to do a lot but you only did this much, is it? Let there not be this complaint about yourself. Do you understand? Therefore, constantly continue to raise the line of your fortune and also continue to enable others to recognize this elevated fortune. Wow, my elevated fortune. Constantly continue to sing songs of this happiness. The next paragraph, another little topic. So, the previous topic was about fortune. Bestower fortune is here to give us all that we want, all the attainments. Yes, so we have to experience that. So next is, do you always experience yourself to be elevated souls who are the spinners of the discus of self-realization? The discus of self-realization is what liberates you from all the spinning of Maya. The discus of self-realization enables you to claim your right to the fortune of the kingdom and to be a ruler of the globe. It is only at this conference age that you receive the knowledge of the discourse of self realization. You are Brahmin souls and you are therefore spinners of the discourse of self realization. Brahmins are always shown as the top knot. Top knot means the highest. Brahmins means those who always perform elevated actions. Brahmins means those who always have elevated dharma dash dharna. Have you become such Brahmins? Not Brahmins just the name, but Brahmins in your actions. Because Brahmins are remembered so much even now at the end. The memorial of you true Brahmins continues to this day. When an elevated task has to be performed, people call a Brahmin priest because only Brahmins are that elevated. So, at what time did you become so elevated? You become that now And this is why, even now, the memorial of the elevated task still continues. Always stay in the awareness that you are the elevated Brahmins, the spinners of the discus of self realization, those whose every thought, word, and deed are elevated. Yeah, so we are the true Brahmins. We are the true spinners of the discus of self realization. And when we do that, yeah, when we spin the discus of self realization, it helps us free ourselves from the spinning of Maya, every form of Maya. All spinning goes away. Yes. And this discus of self realization then enables us to claim a right to the fortune of the kingdom and to be a ruler of the globe. Yeah. Baba many times says that Swadershan Chakradhari, so Chakravarti Raja, spinner of the discus of self realization that helps us become the rulers of the globe. Okay. Om Shanti.